You know what? This has been one heck of a morning. And guess what? Rosalie Wilson is back with us today. Good morning, Rosalie.
Good morning, Pam.
This is your first time to sit in this season. And, we're not even sure why we're here right now, except that we were pretty much through with podcasting. And then after we got through with podcasting and moved on to other projects, we noticed that there had been some uptick in viewers, and we thought, well, maybe we have something more to say. And plus, we realized that in our previous seasons, we had a lot of guests with some awesome stories, but that really didn't give us the opportunity to talk quite as much as we used to talk on the telephone, right?
Right, exactly. Yeah, we used to really chit chat a lot.
That started during COVID, I think. We were already friends and talking a pretty good bit, but it was during COVID when everybody was pretty much confined to their homes during the pandemic phase. We were like, well, we can't go anywhere. We might as well talk on the phone.
Yeah, we had some pretty good conversations back then, don't you think?
Yeah, it's too bad we can't remember those.
They were funny. I remember that.
Oh, hey, can you bump your volume down just a tad?
How's that?
Okay, I think that's good.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on with the technical part of this. We've had a few issues this morning, which is nothing unusual for us, but now the names of people from previous podcast or episodes keep wanting to pop up on our screen and they're not here. So I don't know what's going on. But Rosalie, so tell our listeners what is on your mind today. What is the topic that you specifically have in mind that you want to discuss today?
Well, actually, scammers. I
Hey,
had
Rosalie,
mentioned this
Rosalie,
earlier.
sorry, the volume again. Yeah, maybe move your microphone down just a bit from your mouth.
Is that better?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay. Yeah, we've had a time trying to adjust here this morning. Is that okay?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, just don't talk directly into it, and that helps. Um,
I'll put it up here.
no, I think it was better where it was the last time.
Okay, right there.
Down a little bit further.
Down here.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
How's
that's
that?
better. Yeah, better.
Okay.
Okay. So now you want to talk about scammers, and why would that be?
Oh, because I have talked to them in the past.
Oh, really? Okay. So tell us about it.
Well, I thought I could help other people because I have been through it. And I thought giving some of, what I went through can help other people. If they run across these scammers, and there are plenty out there, and they're in different genres of scammers. We've got the romance scammers, the Bitcoin scammers, and cryptocurrency, the phone scams. We've got Social Security scams. So there's just a lot of them.
Okay, so now you've had some personal experience with scammers. So
Hmm.
tell the listeners about some of the experiences you had.
Well, one of them, I'd say this was the first one I had. It was right after my husband had passed. And this guy came on Facebook and messaged me. And he said, "Oh, I'm sorry to hear about your husband." And he was just, really genuine and acting caring and all that. So I thought, okay, well, I'll just talk to this guy because I needed someone to talk to. I was vulnerable back then. And and this was back in like 2016. So, it was before they all got real popular and everybody knew about scammers. So I assumed he was who he said he was. And anyway, we got to talking and stuff. And I think I talked to him probably 3 months, about 3 months. And then he started asking in a roundabout way for some money. Because,
What was the roundabout way?
well, he used his child, you know. Um, I think these scammers, they look for people that are good-hearted and that they think they can get money from, especially older people, or widows.
Huh?
And so this guy, he said that his son was having a birthday and he had just bought him a PlayStation, but he was running short on money to buy him games for the PlayStation. And he said, I hate to give him the PlayStation with no games, you know. So he says, is there any way that you could buy him a game for his birthday? So yeah, he started, that was the first time he had asked me for money.
And what was the result?
I was naive and I felt sorry for the little boy. So I did. I sent him money to get a game. And I think it was through Western Union or something. I don't know. But I learned my lesson after that, as far as. But there are people out here that have given lots of money. I mean, like hundred thousands of dollars to these scammers out here. And so there are signs that you can, kind of pick up on, especially on Facebook but there's also a word that they use, and these are usually Nigerian scammers, and it's ALAYE. And basically it's telling the other person, if they are a scammer, that they're on the same team, So they're letting them know that they're a scammer too, and they can move on to other people.
Oh, in other words, you're on my territory, so move along.
Exactly.
Oh
Yes.
no.
Yep.
Okay. Now, this was not your only experience with scammers, Rosalie.
No.
Now, I'm going to have to call you out on something here because
Mm-hmm.
we're very close friends. We're BFFs. Did I want to say BFFs? Whatever. We're BFFs, but we call each other out on our junk. So
Yes, we do.
I'm gonna have to make a disclaimer here that Rosalie knows. We've talked about this before, and our friend Connie and I discussed before that Rosalie was not exactly raised with street smarts. Sometimes Rosalie was very protected and very sheltered. Okay, so this is one, and there's no shame in that. It just meant that you're not wild and crazy. Okay, so and
Well,
you didn't.
crazy maybe, not wild, I guess.
Yeah, you didn't deal with a lot of unsavory characters when you were growing up, so you were not aware about um, how conniving some people could be. Okay, so I just want to interject that here so people know that uh, yeah, some people just are not as aware of how crooked and mischievous people can be, and even people who are aware can still be fooled sometime. Okay, go ahead, Rosalie.
Okay, and then there was I don't know if a lot of people, I'm sure they do, know Jonathan Rumi, who plays in The Chosen.
Well, they know who he is. Yeah.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of scammers out there using his name. And so back when I was in Texas, you know, I was talking to some of these people because I didn't know anybody really out there when we first moved out there. And so I was on Facebook and they were messaging me and asking me how I was doing and all this. And so I was just talking to them. I didn't think there was any harm in that, right? But anyway, this Jonathan Rumi fake, I should call him, um, he was just really being so nice and just charming. And they are very charming, these guys. And I know I used to wonder how they can talk people into stuff, but they really can get to you. They have a way of doing that. And so anyway, I think I've had like one, two, three, four, five people that I talked to, and each one of them were scams or scammers. One of them even sent me a video of himself, and he was saying he was proving that he was who he said he was. But then he got an interruption in the video, and I found out that they know how to do that. They know how to interrupt, because they're not really them, and they're just showing a video of that person. So they can trick you there.
Or is it really of that person? Is it
Yes, yes, it's of that person. And it's a video of them like sitting at a table or they're waving or, and then they're just telling you what they're saying.
okay? Hey, Rosalie, your volume's still pretty loud. It's off the Richter scale in here a little bit. Oh, can you bump it down a little bit?
Is that better?
Yeah, I think that's better. I think it's because you're in the open space there,
Mm-hmm.
and the reverb could set in if it gets too loud. It was getting pretty loud.
Okay.
Yeah, that's better. Okay.
But yep. So anyway, I was just one guy even pretended to be Robin Mark, who is a lead singer for Belfast Revival and over in Ireland. And I found out that this guy, Robin Mark, actually went over to Nigeria and visited over there with those people. So I guess that's where they got that name. But yeah, I had talked to some of them, and one of them got actually pretty ugly. He got really ugly. And I could tell it wasn't the same guy because they switch up. They work like a team, like they're in a little room, like 10 people maybe or 20. And when one leaves, another one fills in. And they use these scripts and they train them as to what to say when certain questions are asked. And so sometimes if you're talking to one of them, you'll see something repeated over and over. And I also saw that word ALAYE one time. So I'm just trying to let people know that if if they see that, then that's usually a scammer they're talking to. So it's best to videotape. What do you call it? Video call them or
Do a FaceTime.
do a FaceTime with them. Yes, so they will know.
Well, listen, I have my own story
Mm-hmm.
that happened to me recently, but I'll tell about that after I want to read some information here that I looked up about some of the effects on people after they've been scammed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this was taken from a website called Lloyd's Banking Group. Okay, www.lloydsbankinggroup.com. Okay, and this is insights into the emotional impact of being scammed. So this is a quote. I'm quoting here. Some vic. I don't know what's wrong with my language today. Some victims even experience severe mental health issues, including depression, suicidal thoughts, and increased use of antidepressants, even if they get their money back. One described how their doctor had to double their antidepressant dose due to the psychological strain caused by the fraud they experienced. Given our findings that 69% of victims report mental health impacts after being victims of fraud, it's not surprising that the emotional aftermath of online fraud can sometimes lead to severe psychological distress. And I think in particular, this website deals a lot with people that have had a lot of money taken from them.
Yes, yes. I saw some that were on Dr. Phil one time, and they were talking about, and this man, he would not give up this woman he had been talking to because he was in love with her, and he really thought this woman
Was it?
that was the one. Yes, and his daughter was all upset because she knew it was a scam, and she would say, Dad, she's not who you think she is. And he'd say, "Oh, leave me alone. I know what I'm doing." And he would still talk to her. He would give her money. And she kept saying she was coming over there and they were going to get married. But she would just take his money and not come over.
She said, come over from where? Where was she at?
She was in another country. I think it
Okay.
was like China or somewhere over there. I think she was a Chinese lady.
Okay. Yeah. I've seen a lot of those episodes of, what is it? 90 Day Fiance and shows like that my daughter
Mm-hmm.
is addicted to. She's addicted to those reality shows. And sometimes I'll walk in there and I'll see what's on there and I'll say, and you went to Belmont and you paid for this education and you're watching this stuff. But and then sometimes I end up watching it with her because it's so bizarre. But anyway, there was one episode she was watching. It was one of those about after lockup or something like that, or after lockup or during lockup. But it was some guy that was locked up. He was in jail, and he had started a relationship with this woman, I guess online from jail or prison. And so she she came up with an idea for him because he needed money and she couldn't really help him out.
Mm-hmm.
So they concocted a website for him to basically I guess have these fake romances with other women
Oh
so
no.
they would give him money. And I mean, they were talking about this on this show that they'd actually done this. And he was due to be released, but I think this was about to mess up his release date because he got caught doing this. And the
Mm-hmm.
reason he got caught was because he ended up falling for one of the women that he was scamming, and he actually fell for her. And the girlfriend who had put him up to this got jealous, and she busted him. She reported him. So I mean, this stuff can get to be really outrageous and just all kinds of psychologically messed up.
Yes, it can. And in fact, one of them I talked to, he I could tell his personality changed, and I was like, I said, "Is this Chris?" And he says, "Well, isn't that who you're talking to?" And I said, "Well, I thought I was, but I said, you're not Chris." And he goes, "Okay." Just agreed with me. Said, "Okay." And then I said, "Well, where's Chris?" And he says, "Oh, he's probably dead." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, this guy." I said, "I'm out of here." I mean, I just hung up. I didn't talk to him anymore. But yeah, I mean, some of them I think are just mental. They have mental issues, you know.
Well, I think so. Okay, I want to read you a little bit more about some of the effects of being scammed, and then I want to tell a story about what happened to me the other day. Um, so this says, okay, understanding the emotional impact of being scammed. Realizing you have been scammed often comes as a shock. Yep. There's the moment when the light bulb goes off and you finally get that things are not just as they initially seemed and you were tricked. Okay, again, I'm quoting from this same website. This is from lloydsbanking.com. No, actually, excuse me, this is from Very Well Mind. Okay, you have to be
Okay.
very well mind to realize that you've been scammed. Okay, there's the moment when the light bulb goes off and you finally get that things are not as they initially seemed and you were tricked. The initial realization can be jarring. You might experience denial. This couldn't possibly have happened to me! Exclamation mark. But when reality sets in, you are left to deal with the emotional aftermath and harm caused by the scammer. Okay, this is a lady now telling her story. And this is a quote. I was sitting in Washington Square Park, and it was one of those days where you felt like everyone was in a good mood and could be a friend, aka my guard was down, says Kate N., a victim of a financial scam who agreed to share her story with us. And here she goes on to tell her story. A group of young adults asked if I'd be willing to donate some money to their summer sports league. I was happy to donate $10 to their cause. I didn't want to hand them my phone, but they very tactfully created a story of needing someone else to tell them the email address, and I merely held my phone out to them for all of 30 seconds. While one of them distracted me, she continues. Well, when I got the phone back, there was a number on it, so I sent the $10 I had intended to. Then, when I closed it, there was a notification saying $3,300 had been withdrawn.
Oh my gosh, that's a big difference, huh?
Well, if you got that kind of return when you were tithing, that would be awesome, but uh, I don't think that $10 was meant as a tithe to this little group of scammers.
Mm-hmm.
So it says scammers can use effective tactics to get what they want. The scammer might have built your trust and pretended to be a friend to you before the betrayal.
Mm-hmm.
or they might have used psychological tactics to scare you into compliance. Either way, the realization that you have been tricked can be very emotional. Dr. Caitlin Campbell, clinical psychologist, says that scam victims can experience a deep sense of betrayal. And she says, quote, people feel ashamed after being scammed because their trust was violated. They can blame themselves for not knowing better, end quote. Okay. And she goes on to say you can also experience anger. So fortunately for you, you just let go of in comparison to what some of these people are talking about,
Mm-hmm.
it was a small donation you made to this guy. And fortunately, you didn't let your bank account be wiped clean.
No. Mm-mm.
And so the thing that happened to me, I've already told you about this, Rosalie. I was minding my own business the other day and I had a phone call, and my phone call usually can catch spam calls, and it just says spam risk, and I will
Mm-hmm.
not answer the phone. Well, I got a phone call one day that didn't say spam risk. I didn't recognize the number, but I thought, well, this looks like it could be important. So dummy me, I answered the phone, and somebody said, "Is this 615 blah 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 blah?" And they read off my number. I said, "Yes, it is." And they said, well, somebody is trying to uh, make a charge to your PayPal account right now in Indiana. Did you authorize this? And without thinking, I said, well, no, I didn't. And they said, well, um, we if you type this address on your computer, we can go in there and we can stop this. And I almost did it. I started typing and I was like, whoa, wait a minute. And I said, no, I said, I don't use a PayPal account. The only PayPal account I ever used was when I used to work at the medical center, and I no longer use that PayPal account. She said, well, this charge is going to go through for $156, and you're going to be charged $156 again next year. And I said, you know what? I said, I'll just contact the bank, and I hung up. And then I emailed my former employer and told them what was going on. I said, if anyone tries to use the PayPal account that was in my name, just know it wasn't me. I said, I think this was a scam call I got for sure. Fortunately, I realized it pretty quickly, but I mean, I was almost there. But when they said, well, we need to get into your computer, I was like, there is no freaking way you're getting access to my computer, a person I don't know.
Yes, those phone scams, there's a lot of them out there too, different ones, and especially, which I'll get into here in a minute, Social Security. They're having a lot of scammers on uh, their sites and stuff. But I read where it said on March the 6th of 2025, they're having a National Slam the Scam Day.
Where, what?
And it's supposed to give you tools to recognize, the scams and to, stop them from stealing your money and stuff. It's a lot of information they're going to be giving out, learning about the latest scams. Uh, let's see. Sometimes they'll tell you they're going to offer a benefit increase in your Social Security. They want your Social Security number, a request for an unusual payment like cryptocurrency. And of course, they'll ask for gift cards, gold bars, wire transfers. Any way they can get your money, they're going to, ask you.
Yeah, I think there's a million companies out there now claiming to be with Medicare, wanting to try to give you additional benefits. I just hang up on every one of those calls if they happen to get through.
Well, they said if you have a scam, um, to report it to the OIG, which is the Office of the Inspector General. And it's for more information, you can go to www.ssa.gov/scam, and they'll give you information, if you think you're being scammed. So I think that's real good information there.
Yeah, that's very helpful. Well,
Mm-hmm.
and also one of the things I read was that it's always helpful if you need to seek counseling, to see a counselor to discuss your feelings about having been violated. There was one story I read about a someone who was actually a counselor herself,
Mm-hmm.
and she got scammed for something like $15,000.
Wow.
And it was someone she thought that was that she was going to be paying a smaller amount to in order to help her set up a website, and then they never contacted her. They never contacted her. They never contacted her. And so after a few months of waiting, I don't know why she waited a couple of months, she realized she'd been scammed.
Mm.
And she was not able to recoup that money. So she was saying sometimes it's important just to accept that you've been had and to learn a lesson from it.
Yes.
Um,
And there's
and
also, I was going to also just say real quick here that there's ways to kind of, on Facebook and Instagram and all those, sites, to realize scammers. The profile pics and pages. If they don't have many friends, that's one of the signs. If you go to a page and it's got maybe one friend, or they just, uploaded the site. A lot of them use flowers as their profile, or it'll be like a man and their dog, or a man and their son.
yeah, on Instagram or Twitter, it's somebody that is always facing away from the camera and you can't see their face.
They're probably hiding. They don't want nobody to see who they are.
Yeah. Well,
But you can imagine that the scammers, the pictures they're using are not the people. So those people are being violated, because they're putting their pictures out here, and they're, using them and acting like they're single people, and half of them are married, got kids, and a lot of times too, they will use their occupations as like oil riggers,
or generals or retired
generals, yes, army people, yeah, a lot of those.
Okay. Well, Rosalie, I think it's about time, for us to wrap it up this evening. So have you got any parting words? Excuse me, it's not evening, it's still morning here.
Beware. Beware of scammers is all I got to say.
Yep. And hang on to your wallet and your passwords.
There you go.
Okay. Well, hang on, Rosalie.
All right.
We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Later.
Later.